Rightio here. Welcome to Pick a Mix, where we just, as I say, we mix it up. And this week we are mixing it up because we're going to look at one of rock's fine producers, as we do. If it's the first time you're watching this, and what did we do? Well, I go through their albums as producers, and then I pick my favourite 5 albums that the producer has done. So Reinhold Mack, but we can just know him as Mack, and that's all he goes on the album. Was born 25th of August 1949. He was born, shares the birthday with my little brother, and he was he's from Germany. He was from Munich, and he's a classically trained musician. He can play the piano, the clarinet, guitar, and the acoustic guitar. But at the age of 14, he discovered the electric guitar and played in many cover bands before he was drafted into the West German Army. But when he came back, his parents had sold all his musical instruments. What a blow. So he decided to seek work in a recording studio, and he went to Musicland for his first session, and Mack assisted Tony Visconti in the recording sessions for Mark Boland and T-Rex's Zinc Alloy and the Hidden Riders of Tomorrow. He assisted him on It's Only Rock and Roll and Black and Blue, Deep Purple's Stormbringer, Come Taste the Band, and Led Zeppelin's Presence. So that was a good start in life. And then he became a proper engineer, and he worked with the Electric Light Orchestra in 1975. He was the engineer on Face the Music and started a working relationship as an engineer that spanned 6 years for the next 5 albums. Then he became an outright producer, and he still sort of engineered it as well. So that's what he was thing. I mean, he was nominated for the Producer of the Year in 1981. So we'll take a look, concentrate on the albums as he's officially down as the producer or co-producer. So here we go. He's producing an album. So the first time that he actually produced an album as a producer was in 1980. And it was for Queen and The Game. My favourite tracks on here are Dragon Attack, Save Me and Play the Game. It's not a bad album. Also in 1980, while they were recording The Game, they did the soundtrack to Flash. Great film. And then he did the best things on there as the main title of the battle theme in The Hero. So he started off well, and also in 1980 he was called in to work with a band called After the Fire. Now these were a British rock band that from playing progressive rock into a new wave sort of sound, and he produced an album called ATF. It's not very good. Well, I heard it and I didn't like it. So that was the end of 1981. 1980. So 1981 came along, and he went and worked with Sparks on Whop That Sucker, which is a great album. And my favourite tracks on there are Don't Shoot Me and Wacky Woman. I do like them tracks. Then in 1981 he worked with someone called Billy Squier. Now he's an American singer, songwriter, and the album that he produced was called Don't Say No. It's okay. Mine Kind of Lover and The Loneliest of the Night are pretty good tracks, I must admit. Then he goes back in 1982, he goes back and works with After the Fire again, and on the album Batteries Not Included. And there's a really good track on there actually called Frozen Rivers. That's pretty good. Also in 82 he goes and works again with Sparks for a bit of Angst in My Pants. I do like that cover. Sherlock Holmes is great on that, and Nicotina. Then he goes and works with Queen on the dreaded Hot Space. Oh, poor old Richard. He loves that album and I don't. But there are 3 good tracks on there. Put Out the Fire, Las Pablos del Amor, and of course Under Pressure. But the rest of the album, no thank you. Billy Squire again, for an album called Emotions in Motion from 1982. There's some good tracks on this one. This is a better album than the other one. The title track's pretty good, Emotions in Motion, and there's a track on there called It Keeps Me Rocking, which are brilliant. 1983, he goes and works with Doc Holliday, great southern rock band, for Modern Medicine, a really good album. We've got Rock City and Hell to Pay. 2 pretty cool tracks on there. We haven't done Doc Holliday yet, but I'm sure we will. 1984, he's back working with Queen on The Works. I can never get over John Deacon's haircut for this period. It's got brilliant Tear It Up on, Hammer to Fall, and I Want to Break Free without the keyboard bit. Also in 1984, Roger Taylor from Queen made a solo album called Strange Frontier. Good album. Rick Parfitt plays on there, Brian May. So the best tracks on here are Masters of War, Man and Fire, It's an Illusion, which is the one that Rick plays on, which is brilliant. His services are then gone to Meatloaf for the 1984 album Bad Attitude. Bad Attitude's a great song, and Modern Girl are the highlights off that one. Then he's back working with Freddie Mercury on the Mr. Bad Guy album. I do like Mr. Bad Guy and Living on My Own on it, but the rest I'm not a great fan. Then he goes and works in 1986 with a German band called BAP. Never heard of them. And he works on an album called Almana. Oh dear me. Not for me, it's just European rock plonky stuff. Not my cup of tea at all. I did manage to find it on YouTube, but no, I was not very impressed. Then he goes back to work with Queen again on their Kinda Magic album. One Vision, Who Wants to Live Forever, and Princes of the Universe are the highlights for me on that one. Pretty good album for when it was. Then he goes and works with another German band called Extrabriet. They were formed in Hagen in Germany. They were the most successful exponents of the new douche well movement. Yeah, that's what they say, but the album from 1987, Sex After 3 Years in a Submarine, is pretty naff. Unless you like that sort of sound. He goes and works then with a band that was he co-produced with Brian May. And it's a great little rock band from the 80s called Heavy Petting. I actually saw them and I can't remember who they supported, but it was for this album, Letting Loose, which is really good. For the time, Love Times is good, and Love Shouted Out, pretty cool tracks. Then he goes and produces this thing called Michael White. Now, it's not an album as such, it's just background moons and a load of mumblings. You don't want to listen to it. Don't bother with that one. Then he takes a little break. And in 1989, he goes and works on the debut album for American rock band from Boston, Extreme. Now, this album is really good. Two great tracks on there. Of course, it's Kid Ego and the brilliant Play With Me, Nuno Benincourt, absolutely on fire on that one. Then he goes and works in 1989 again with It's Bites, a really good band that I do like, and I've seen them as well. They supported Marillion, and this is the Eat Me in St. Louis album. I like this album, it's pretty good. Still a bit poppy, but Murder of Planet Earth and The Ice Melts Into Water are just absolute killer tracks on that. Then he goes, has another break, and in 1991 he comes back and works with a band called Bonfire. Now they're a German band. Don't know much about these, but the album was Knockout. The tracks Dirty Love and Tonmeister are very good. So I've listened to a bit more of these, and they're quite good. So we may do something on them. They've been around since the 70s, and they're pretty good. They were another name then. They were called Cocoon Men or something like that. Yeah. So that's it. So 1991 again, he works with a band called Law and Order. Now they're heavy rock from New York, and an album called Rites of Passage. Really good album, actually. And there's something else I've discovered. The Truth About Me and The Open Door are pretty good rockers on there. 1992. He goes and works with Black Sabbath on the Dehumanizer album, which is of course the Ronnie James Dio lineup of Black Sabbath. Two good tracks on there, Computer God, and I love those tracks. Then he goes and works with a band called Loud. Sorry, 21. There's not much written about them, but I found the album and it's got a track on it called Peace of Mind and Mary She Made Me, which is not too bad. Then it seems to be very quiet, but 2005 it comes up with a band called SBB, which is the Sicilian blues band. They're Polish, and they've been together since 1971. They're a progressive rock band, and he produced their 2005 album New Century, which has got a great track on it called New Century, and Starry Kawashkits, and it's a really good album. I shall be looking into them. Then in 2005 he works with he produces, why not, his son Julian Mack. His godfather was Freddie Mercury and John Deacon. Apparently Julian Mack is referred to in the lyrics of Dragon Attack. So there you go. Have No Decency was the name of the album. I couldn't find any tracks off it. Yes. Then in 2006, another sort of band that's sort of his other son, Frederick Mack, and that's Liquid Meat and Beat the Meatles. They're a three-piece heavy metal band with a psychedelia feel to it. Yeah. Nah, not much to tell you about that because I couldn't find it. Next up is 2009 and a band called the Shazam. They're a band that were founded in Nashville, Tennessee in 1994, and in 2009 they released an album called Meteor. Not too bad. Had an album, tracks on here that are pretty good. Don't Look Down, Always Tomorrow. Then he did another one for Liquid Meat, Maximum Carnage. Again, I couldn't find anything about that album. 2012 is next. He works with a band called Custard, who are an Australian indie rock band and Infested by Anger. I listened to this, I found this pretty good. Death From Above is good, and My Last Breath, pretty strong track actually. 2016, he's done another for SSB called Behind the Line of Horizon. And the good tracks on there, 360 to the Back Pacific. So that's the albums that Mack's actually produced. So this is the bit where I chose my top 5. It was quite hard actually, but this is how I went. So my number 5 was from 1981, and it's Sparks and Whop That Sucker. Love this album. Russell and Ron are on this. Mack actually plays the synthesizers on this as well. So the tracks on here: Tips for Teens, a great little track from the Mail Brothers. Funny Face, nice keyboard work here from Ron. Where's My Girl's a pretty good track as well. Upstairs, I Married a Martian. Just typical fun tracks by Sparks. The Willies. One of those weird tracks. Then we get the brilliant Don't Shoot Me. I love this track, my favourite on here. Then we get Susie Safety, another really good track. That's Not Natasha, very post-punk track going back to their early days. And Wacky Woman, it is wacky, but it's out the top drawer. My number 4. This is actually his very first album that he produced. From 1980, The Game. Play the Game. Love that synthesizer stand, the piano. And I like that little bit in the middle, that do-do-do-do-do-do. Great guitar solo from Simon, from Brian. Dragon Attack. John Deacon. Great live. Love Dragon Attack. Another one bites the dust. One of the most popular tracks. It's okay, but it gets played a lot. Lead Your Loving Today, one of the deep cut tracks on here. Nice little riffs in this one, and I'll do like the harmonies. Crazy Little Thing Called Love, another track. Yeah, overplayed. It's got a good solo on it then. Rocket Prime Drive, another great little rocker from Roger Taylor. Don't Try Suicide, and yeah, it's alright. Sail Away, Sweet Sister. It's not too bad. Coming Home Soon, love this. That's right. Vocal from Roger, the drumming's pretty good. Save Me, I love this. Great track. Okay, number 3. We go for 1984's Bad Attitude by Meatloaf. The opening track is Bad Attitude, which is a fantastic track. Modern Girl. And he always refers this, he broke his leg in this song once, and he says, not give me a future with a modern girl, but give me the future with the hospital. Nowhere Fast, a great Jim Steinman track. It's 80s, but it's a good track. Surf's Up, really like that track as well. Piece of the Action, solid track. Jumping the Gun, very 80s. Cheating in Your Dreams is another favourite of mine. Don't Leave Your Mark on Me, very, very St Elmo's Fire. Sailor's the Siren, not one of my favourite tracks on there. My number 2 album comes from Roger Taylor and the Strange Frontier album. Now the people are on here, they play on here. It's near enough Queen in bits and pieces. Roger Taylor, Dave Richards, who's part of the producing and engineering. Freddie Mercury does some backing vocals. Rick Parfitt, John Deacon plays on here, and Brian May. So they all play on here, but not all together. Strange Frontier, great song, builds into a great rocker. Beautiful Dreams, melodic rock track. Man on Fire, this is Brian Mays on this. Great guitar solo, you know it's him. Then he does a cover version of Bruce Springsteen's Racing in the Street, which is a bit more upbeat than Springsteen's, but it's good. Then he does a great version of Bob Dylan's Masters of War. Much better. Killing Time, superb. Got Freddie doing the backing vocals on this. Abandon Fire, it's very 80s, but it's okay. Young Love, a very sort of Bruce Springsteen style song. It's an Illusion. Great track from Roger. Rick plays guitar on this and backing vocals. I Cry For You, Love, Hope and Confusion, So Very, Radio Gaga. But my number one album that Mack produced is from 1989, and it is Extreme's debut album, Extreme. Pat Badger on the bass, Nuno Benincourt on the guitars, Gary Cherone on lead vocals, and the original guitarist Paul Geary. Little Girls is the opening track, very sort of Aerosmithy. Love the harmonica on this. Both bands are from that same area, so you can understand. Warm Me Up is a little bit of a cheesy rock track, but it's really good. Some great guitar from Nuno. Then we get the classic Kid Ego. I love this. Pat Badger's bass line is always been brilliant on there. Watching, Waiting, a real good power ballad. Gary's vocals are great. Then we got Mother, Don't You Want to Go to School Today. Influences of Van Halen here. Pretty good harmonies. I do like the guitar solo from Nuno on that. Peaches Pet. Great drumming here from Gary. Fantastic track, I like that one. Big Boys Don't Cry, another great track from Gary's vocals. Smoke Signal, very good track. Flesh and Blood, great riffs, great drumming. Rockabye Baby, nice ballad. In comes the orchestra, something that Extreme did a lot. And then we get Play With Me. I just love this. It's a bit of a rappy sort of thing, lovely harmonies, and then you get the dynamic Nuno Benincourt solo. It's just exceptional. One of my favourite tracks by Extreme. So there we go. That's a little bit of Mack. That's all for today. Until tonight when we do the live stream. But tomorrow we'll be back as normal. And what have we got for you tomorrow? Well, we're going to look at some David Bowie live. I'm not doing all of them because there are loads. So what tomorrow we're going to concentrate on is all the live albums that David put out in his lifetime. We'll do the ones that came out after he passed another day. But tomorrow we're going to look at his albums while he was alive. And also tomorrow we've got a brand new album review, and it's one that has excited lots of people. It came out last week, and it's the brand new album from Rolling Stones, Hackney Diamonds. If you're a big fan of the Rolling Stones, that one is not to be missed. Okay, have a good day everybody. It's still raining here, miserable as sin. I will see you all tonight on the live stream. Bye for now.